22nd of July. I'm going to do a bit of an update from the garden, to see how things are getting on. So I don't know if any of you remember sort of this time last year, I had a little visitor called Jackdaw. He's not been back as far as I know, but there is a jackdaw about that sort of sounds very much like him, so you might hear him chirping away. I don't know whether that's, I don't know how you can see, but up on that aerial up there. So he's been chirping about for a bit now. There's a couple that hang about. If it's him, great. I did all I could for him, and I do miss the little guy. But yeah, it doesn't seem like a year ago now since he was here and out and about in the garden. So if you want to watch that little bit of adventure, go back sort of 12 months from sort of July last year, and he appeared in a few of the videos. And basically, he was just a young chick that I found, you know, on the doorstep. So I brought him in and fed him up, and it kind of stayed with me for a while. And then it was, well, September the 18th, something last year. He flew away one evening and didn't come back. So we just kind of hoped that everything was okay, and he went to be with his own kind. That's just all I can wish for him, really. So we'll have a look around the garden and what's been going on. And I'm not going to be harvesting anything really, because it's too hot. It's bang in the middle of a heat wave. I've not done anything really for days because it's just too hot in the day. And it's just, I don't know, it's way too well. Due some rain next week, so there's a few things I've got to get done before the rains come. So I'll take the camera around and we'll have a look around at generally everything, how things are going in the garden, and this contraption I've made to sort of look after the brassicas, because I'm so desperate to get them up to the plot. So we'll start down this end. The sweet peas are still flowering, but they're starting to come to a bit of an end now. Just it's a case of you keep picking flowers, you'll get more. But once they start setting pods, they kind of think they put the last resources into that. And obviously, I'm going to save some seed, because these are the sort of Hilda's mix that many of you YouTubers have grown, you know, for a few years now. You know, in my mum's memory, which is a lovely thing, to be honest. It's a great way to remember her, and I'll keep doing it as long as I can, really. You know, I'll keep saving the seed, and if everyone else who's grown them save seed and share them out, they end up all over the place. Right, so this is the mock-up sort of protection. It's a complete replica of one of the raised beds of the allotment, 10 foot by 5 foot, some hoops on it, and obviously the 3 metre netting. So in there, because obviously my broccoli and some of the Clapton cauliflower and some, I think it was a Killerton cabbage, have gone down, they've been planted. But in here still, obviously I've got some more spring greens down there, which Kain seems to be being a bit fussy and not eating at the moment. He's just being a bit fussy and kind of just wanting the lettuce all the time. So, and then we've got some, obviously, January King, some Tundra, I think there's one called Senna, or Sienna. I've never grown that one before. The cabbages, I've got some of the Primo 2, which I've still got at the plots on to take, so I don't know where they're going to go yet. And some Optimist cauliflower over there, and some Triumphant. How well they do, I don't know, because they are so pot bound. They might end up just being quite small plants again, you know, and it's just down to that horrendous start to the year. Set everything back. My cauliflowers should have been finished and out long before now at the plot, but it's just hard work keeping all this watered. It's kind of 2-3 times a day I've got to water these, so it's a bit of a time consuming thing. I just put like the fine rows on, and I just kind of treat like a watering from as high as I can, like a downpour on them. Do them in the morning, so once the sun's gone off them for a bit, and then I do them sort of at night as well, to give them so they can soak it right in, because when it's hot like this it just evaporates that quick. Courgettes, I've taken loads of courgettes off these. I've hacked some foliage off to shrink them down a bit, because we're getting a bit out of hand. I say it gets a bit tight on space down here. So, you know, they're still doing okay. You know, courgettes are producing that. Beans, a couple of them took a bit of a hit. You know, something's been chomping away down the bottom, taking one of the stems off, so I've got one that's dying there. But I need to pick some of these, because there's plenty of like beans on them. Down in there somewhere there's some shallots, which is just somewhere to sort of shove them, and some of them are pretty much red now, some have started toppling. So I'll have to get in there at some point and pull them out. Not massive, but, you know, like I say, they were fairly poor germination. I thought, well, I can't remember, 12, 20 or something like that. So I'll shove them in there, and some strawberry plants. you know, just keep running. I've had very few strawberries, so I'm just kind of growing bigger plants this year. You know, there's a couple of these. These are all cobra beans, these. Got some leftovers of the tender star there. The rest are up at the plot. I'll probably give them away to one of the plot holders if they're there when I go down next. The Orla potatoes in these polypots still going okay. They have been watered a couple of days ago. It's just in the heat that the tops will wilt, and then once it cools off they'll perk back up. There's been blight warnings, so blight will be here inevitably. Next week or two it will show. So I mean, there is little signs of things, but it's not blight at the moment, hopefully. Emmy peppers, come back in focus. I think they're giant bell pepper, and there's another one called Phoebes, and then there's basket of fire down here, 2 of them. The California wonders over there, which are the compost comparison, which I've just actually filmed doing the actual potato reveal. And giant sunflowers are growing. There's a couple, because they got hammered by slugs and snails, they've got actually no top on. They're just growing but with no head, so they'll probably put a side shoot out at some point, but it's just something to put down there. I need to sort of construct some canes, because once, you know, I mean, they're probably, that one at the back there is probably 6 foot nearly. So once that gets its head on it, it's going to get a bit heavy. It just gives a bit of extra shade to the polytunnel. Carrots in there, they're still tickling along. I've taken some runners off this strawberry plant here, which is basically, I've used little pots of compost, 3-inch pots, and it's tapping roots in, but all these are, if I can pull one out carefully, is the for underfloor heating pipes, just like a little staple. And I think they're about 40mm long, and I had a load in the attic, we were being a plumber and that, so I thought, well, they'll come in handy for that. So they just help to hold the stem down. So you just pretty much lay your, you know, it's like if you were getting one of these, well, that's your sucker, you just lay that on top of the compost, put your peg in, and it'll put roots out. Once you can see sort of roots at the bottom of the pot, you can cut the actual main stem, and it should be okay. You just have to pamper them a bit, and then they'll get going and plant them out later in the year. Polytunnel, a few problems in here. Not going to spend too long in here because it's pretty hot. Got a bit of stuff going right up to the top now. Sun golds, straggly plants, but there's quite a few. I mean, I've been picking these as well. There's quite a few fruits on them, and I had one that had kind of, the tip had gone a bit funny on it. So what I did, I left this vine here, and I left that, and I pulled the sucker out. I don't know where you can see this, but I split the stem, and I've grafted. I basically split it, you know, so it ends up like the sucker actually ends up with a point on it, if you know what I mean, and then I spliced it into it, wrapped some cling film around it for a few days so it heals. So it's healed and it's growing like a fresh tip. That's from a sucker, because I tried to get a sucker from the side and it kept snapping off, so I thought, well, I'll just graft one in the top. I've not done any grafting for years, but I thought, well, I'll graft one in, and if it takes, then it can carry on growing from there. Nice healthy top. You know, and it's like some of these, you know, they've had problem times with the foliage, but the top is getting fairly healthier. That's like a mini cucumber I'm trying out, just like small ones. Where I'm going to put it yet, I don't know. Just a bean plant that Mrs. got me. No idea what sort of bean it is, but just for a bit of fun, I thought whatever it is, I'll try and get it fired up and see what it is. But yeah, there's plenty of tomatoes to go out. I mean, there's a big cluster of sun golds there, and say they're going to get to a point where I'm going to have to tie this one up because it's going to get top heavy. I don't want to be banging my head every 5 minutes. But Gardener's Delight, they're all coming. Considering I had such a hard start with these, with a weed killer and problem, they've come good, these ones, to be honest. You know, not been the best, but they've done okay. The only thing I'm having problems with is a bit of blossom emerald. It's to do with watering and also magnesium and calcium deficiencies. So I've been trying to sort that out. Down here it gets so hot down here, but you know, watering issues, they're on the drippers, so they do get regular water, they do get that extra water. I mean, these have all been watered this morning, but they're dried out again, so I'll have to give them another water later on this evening. But there's a stack on there. You know, these have probably end up too heavy, and these are just money makers. They didn't get affected by the weed killer. And then we've got Alicantes here, which same again, absolutely masses of tomatoes. I'm going to get quite heavy then. Need to start picking some of these and doing the old sauces. Had a few of the big green caterpillars gnawing holes in the top, so I've been coming out in the darker hours. That's tends to be when you see them, sort of venturing out on the plants. Biggest problem's been these San Marzanos. They've been really big, lush plants, but blossom end rot. I've lost most of the tomatoes to blossom end rot on this. They're just rotting off. Don't know. Obviously, it's new. It's all new filling in these beds. So I've not had blossom end rot for years. You know, and obviously this year I have. Oh, it's one of them things. You know, you win some, you lose some. But you know, there's still some on it. You know, some plum tomatoes in there. I don't know if you can see, big clump of them there. You know, so some of them will come good. There's no blossom end rot on them. As with that, start taking some foliage off now. Still got to keep these suckers going. It's like growing tips growing all over the place now. But thankfully, after the horrendous start with the tomatoes and the compost, they're coming good. This one's having a bit of a, don't know what went on with that. It's kind of coming out of it a bit now, but it's just like reading the plant's history, like, you know, bad start, feeling a bit rough, and then kind of starting to feel a bit better. You know, it's got fruits on it low down, nothing in this middle really, and probably not going to get much near the top. So probably a couple of weeks I'll go down to the last sort of vine, which is like this one, take the top off, because the foliage is not doing anything for it. Then I'll get rid of it. All in all, I'm definitely going to get some tomatoes this year. There's no doubt about that. Just found another one. Bit of blossom end rot starting on it. Get rid of that. I don't know if it's sort of like, you know, if it can transfer down the plant or anything, but just pull them off anyway because they're a bit unsightly. Just wedge this door open because it is ridiculously hot in here. I'll have a look at my thermometer in a minute. I think it's down here. See what I can put it in the shade. What are we at down here in the shade? Let's have a look. 34 degrees. That's down there, so I'm getting out of here before I melt. Whew. Kain's out and about. We'll see him in a minute. We'll come back and have another look at him in a minute. Try and get all camera back in focus. Well, I'll venture further down the garden now. I've got some more potatoes. These are what were sort of potted on from, I think, the early rocket reveal. I put some Dukey Oaks in, so they're tickling away okay. The petunias, they went all sticky and horrible. They were getting too big and sticky and covered in bugs, so I hacked them all off, and they'll come back. You know, they'll carry on going. Poppies still going, but they're starting to suffer a bit now. Bees have been loving them. Bees have been all over. I had loads of flowers. I've just been coming out and taking the seed pods off these because I don't want them dropping seeds everywhere because they'll spread everywhere. I don't mind them in a small border like that because they've been quite a nice visual thing of colours and that. So we'll venture up to the top end here. Brussels sprouts. They're all in. They're struggling a bit because it's, you know, they were a bit pot bound, but just hopefully they'll take off. Say next week when the rains come, they've just been nothing. Since they were planted in, they're doing nothing but stress because of the heat. You know, lettuce over there, bolting for Britain now, all that remains. So we're pulling some of them, and Kain can have some of them today. These are all the peppers. Got the patches. Got the other ones that I put outside here that are doing remarkably well, to be honest. You know, I'll try and look at this one from this angle. You know, these are some like banana sweet or something. You know, there's plenty on that. Yellow peppers are doing okay. You know, there's some cherry ones at the bottom down there that are doing alright. I mean, these just go in and out of the cucumber house. I bring them out to, because they've had a lot of problems with little bugs on them, so I bring them out to try and get the hoverflies, let all the predators go in and pick them off. Onions, not really toppling yet. These are obviously later ones. Rocket, I'm surprised it's still going. I water it and then I just hack it right down, but it just keeps coming back. That raw rocket, it's right at the back over there. Full row of it. I've had loads of it. It's been great, and that's Armaters, I think it's called. I've got a complete fresh batch sown. That's all the Pentland crowns. Seem to grow okay. I had a bit of a water last night. All the celery doing okay. Believe it or not though, where I had the Swift potatoes, I was growing these sort of celery in some trays that I've slid in here. They're doing quite well, to be honest. Them, you know, obviously the wall will have a blanch in them. Kelsey onions, you're doing all right. You know, nothing massive. I didn't think there'd be anything huge, but probably, you know, 2-3 pounders, which is still a good onion. I've been picking a few of these carrots under here, which I'll probably do a harvest in a later video. But yeah, they've not been like massive, but I didn't want them big. You know, it's just kind of picking them and using them fresh like that, just roasting them whole. Don't know how them big carrots are doing. As with the sweet candle, don't know. But when the rains come, I'm going to start watering them a little bit because I don't want a big heavy deluge of rain to come and they start splitting. This lettuce needs another pick. It's finally giving up now. It's going to seed, obviously because of the heat. The iceberg's even struggling there that I planted. It's grown all right, but it's just so hot. Obviously, lettuce doesn't like a sort of heat. It's doing more shade, to be honest. And we've got some of the Northern Extra sweet corn. It's actually doing well here, to be honest. Well, we'll see when it produces. A couple of random courgettes I put in. I've had a few courgettes off them. And right at the back, I don't know if you can see through some gooseberry bushes. I need to get in there to pick them actually. So things are quite hectic in the garden at the moment. I need to get on with stuff, but just too hot to do it. I mean, there's some more of the tender star beans I put in there, just to see what they come to, you know. They might probably produce some off them. Just so I had a spare little bed there and grew up the shed, and I'll get some more. Subarctic plenty. This keeps drying out, but if we start with tomatoes on it, it's a nice little sturdy little bush. I say I'm only really growing that to get some more seed because out of all the ones I've sort of sowed, I had one that survived, and these were from a 2014 batch I grew. So I thought I'll get some more seed, and then we'll go from there. In the cucumber house, where all the cucumbers are really hot, they finally took off. Finally, after it took ages. You know, they're up now. I don't know if I've got any suckers on here, because you know some people don't pick them out, but I tried to. I mean, the tip on that one's looking a bit. It's just heat, I think. You know, and it might get a bit too hot because there's no way to ventilate in here. It does get a bit stuffy. But I'll see if I can find a bit of a sucker. Right, don't know whether you'll see this, but in there's like a cucumber at the back there, and then this one here is like a sucker. It's another part of a plant really, and I'm just gonna, like I do with tomatoes, just get rid of it and just leave the baby cucumber. They're all F1s these, so they shouldn't produce any sort of flowers that if they get pollinated they end up bitter, you know. But loads of cucumbers, little tiny cucumbers, and as you go down, and you start picking, you know, you get some bigger ones, and you get right down the bottom. Don't know where you can see, but big whopper one there. You know, but they're doing okay. Got two there that are probably, you know, 10-inch, 12-inch long, and ready for taking. Otherwise, it just robs the rest of the ones higher up. But good God, it's hot in there. Oh. It's too hot to do anything today. So I'm going to pick some of them remain there and give them to Kain, and he can have have a bit of a chomp at that. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. I've just picked some lettuce for a big fella. It's just a case of waiting for him to make his way over, which it probably won't take him long. I've got his water here. I've just flushed it out with it's warmish still, but I've just poured some cold water in it. Because you've got to, on hot days like this, he's got to have a bit of cool, sort of water to bathe in. He's just sort of looking at it, whether he wants to get his feet wet. Come on, you. So, for those who don't know, Kain's he's an African spurred tortoise, a sulcata. He's 14 now. He weighs a bit. You've got to watch it because it can be a bit aggressive sometimes. But he quite happily just munch this. Sniffing it, doesn't know where to start. It's such a huge thing. But I'll try and turn around a bit so you can see him a bit better. Come on this way, you. Come on. But yeah, he does love the lettuce. They love your fingers and all if you let him get at them. So they might not look much, but you just got to be careful because, believe it or not, he weighs just short of 4 stone. So if he wants to give you a good old ram, that shell here is very sharp. So you just got to be on your guard with him. But he's loving this weather. Gets a bit hot for him sometimes. It's just a shame when it comes to the end of the season, he's got to be cooped up inside again. But put that there and carry on eating it. Eat it yourself now, don't be lazy. And he'll quite happily eat, 2 of them a day, which is part of the reason why I grow so much lettuce, to be honest. But yeah, I've had him like 2007. Got him. When he weighed 1 ounce. He was tiny, like a biscuit, like a little Jaffa cake. But, it's not your average, ordinary, everyday pet, but get something that's a bit different, I guess. Not been any trouble. It's a good job of growing your own stuff. You just need a bit of heat, cleaning out, a bit of a grass area to graze. It's quite a big area. This, it's probably 30 foot long. This area by probably 10 foot wide. And this is always this area on the sunny days to wander about. I'm going to be building a little brick house down the bottom of there eventually. The electric cable's well buried in for it. That was done years ago, that was. Just not got round to it. It'd be ready for new boundary fencing soon because he keeps testing that. He'll have a bit of a ram at it now and then. But yeah, so he has the romaine lettuce and elite rocket as well. Greens when he's not being fussy. Courgettes, cucumbers, but with courgettes it gets that much in the season, at some point he does get a bit sick of them. He does have to have calcium supplements, so you put calcium dust on. And obviously like nutritional powders because he's African, so it's difficult to try and maintain an African environment here in the UK. Even though he was born and bred in the UK, his shell's okay. They still have that instinct. They don't like being bothered too much, but whenever I come in and walk in the paddock, he comes over. Whether it's being friendly or just trying to be aggressive, it's one of them things. Love tomatoes, love strawberries, but you have to be a little bit hard with them because they're not supposed to have them sort of things because it can give them upset tummies. They're really mainly supposed to eat sort of grasses, hays and weeds, really. But so he gets supplemented with lettuce. But I'd probably say just under half his diet is grazing. I've not mowed this grass for ages. He tends to have an area, he just grazes around and then slums about. But he starts walking about a lot when it's hot like this. He'll be having romps around, going in his water, having a splash. It's funny when they drink water, because you don't often see him drink. Kind of submerge the whole face in the water, because they kind of suck it through the nostrils, because they don't really have a roof to the mouth. Yeah, he's my little composting machine. you know, and but it's surprising for something that size, how strong they are and how heavy they are. So if anyone was thinking of getting a tortoise, do your research, because maybe you need to check which subspecies to get, you know, because obviously here in the UK you're better for something like a Herman's or a Horsefield tortoise. They do hibernate. Kain here doesn't hibernate, so you have to sort of keep them going 12 months of the year. But he's no real trouble at all, to be honest. You know, his vet, you know, you need to find a specialist vet that deals with him. I mean, luckily the vet for him, she's actually the vet for the local zoo, and she specialises in reptiles. You know, when she weighs him and that, you're walking down the corridor and you put him on the dog's scales, because he will follow you. You know, I could be in here and walk around and he'll follow me around all day long, because he'll think I've got something for him. But it's kind of a bit of you tolerate each other. You know, like, give him food and he'll tolerate you. If you've got an out for him, he's not interested. So he's kind of independent that way. With the being males as well, they're a bit, you know, they can be a bit aggressive, because they are the third largest land tortoise. You know, the only ones that are bigger than them are the Galapagos ones, which are huge. I mean, yeah, I'd love one of them, but you need about an acre of land for them. But yeah, they're no problem. Just get the heat right and the diet as near as you can, and they're quite trouble-free, to be honest. But it was quite comical last year having him out here, and then obviously had Jack flying in from above as well. But if I could, I'd have loads of animals if I could. You know, it's just nice to be sort of around animals of all different types. I mean, yeah, I love dogs. I've had dogs. There's just some things like with the bird. You know, the whole jackdaw, the corvids. You know, they're an intelligent bird, personalities and everything. You know, and they're not meant to be pets, but they're quite capable of becoming your friend. And it's a trust thing, you know, with the birds. If they trust you, they'll never be far away. You know, and you can't start feeding them and then suddenly give up. You have to, because they kind of come dependent on you. It's like seagulls hovering around here. Because they see me feeding the jackdaws, they hang around now. So it's a cushy life for them. You know, they get water and all that lot. So I thought I'd have a little chat on Kain and that, you know, and let you know he's doing fine, eating away. So he'll have that, and I'll give him another lettuce. So that's why I grow a lot of lettuce, because it can just annihilate it, no problem at all. You know, he's just like a goat in a shell. He'll just eat and eat and eat and eat. So, right, well, thanks for watching. Take care. Next update will probably be from the allotment. When that'll be, I don't know. So I've got a few things going on at the moment that I've got to get sorted out, and get down to the plot and try and get some footage. So until next time, take care. Thanks for watching. See you now. Bye-bye.